Monday, November 10th, 2025, regular business meeting of the Lee County Board of Education to order. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you again for this day and for those gathered in this place. We humbly ask that you grant us wisdom, discernment, and patience as we consider the matters before us. Help us to think critically and to always make those decisions that are in the best interests of our students. Help us to clearly articulate those decisions and the rationale for those decisions. We pray that you will bless and protect our veterans and members of our armed forces. We are truly thankful for all of your graces and blessings that have been bestowed. In your name we pray. Amen. You have the agenda for this evening's meeting before you, and if there are not modifications, we will adopt by consent. At this time, our vice chairperson, Mr. Donald Ford, will review protocol and guidelines for public participation during this evening's meeting.
Meetings of the Board of Education are held to conduct the affairs and business of the school system. Although these meetings are not meetings of the public is invited to attend all meetings, and members of the public are invited to address the board at appropriate times and in accordance with procedures established by the board or the superintendent. Thank you.
And at this time, Dr. Shore will provide this evening's welcome and recognize our outstanding groups.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to our November Board of Education meeting. This week as a country and in Lee County, we celebrate Veterans Day, a day to honor the service and sacrifice of those who have served our country in all branches of the armed forces. I am proud to be the granddaughter of an Air Force veteran serving in World War II and the daughter of an Army veteran serving in the Vietnam War. I invite anyone here tonight who has served in the armed forces to stand so that we may recognize you and thank you for your service. Veterans Day, the month of November is known for World Kindness Day, which will be this Thursday, November 13th, and Thanksgiving. In Lee County, we are thankful for so many things. We are thankful for a Board of Education that, despite personal attacks and misinformation, continues to make decisions with the best interest of students and their education at the forefront. They realize that no matter the stance that they take, there will always be one group or another that is not pleased. In addition, they take being the largest employer in Lee County very seriously. We are also thankful for the leaders and teachers and staff that make up this incredible team to serve our students and safeguard this community's future by growing successful, well-prepared, productive future citizens. We are thankful for the families that trust this team with their children. We could not do what we do without their partnership, their trust, and their willingness to work together to celebrate success and work together to find solutions when we encounter roadblocks. We are thankful to our community at large for their support, and we are most of all thankful for the opportunity to work with both the little people and the big people as they learn, develop, and grow. So here is to wishing you a month to celebrate the service of others to our country, kindness from ourselves and others, and most of all, gratitude. And with that, I would like to invite Rocky Ledford to the podium to share with us tonight's recognitions.
First, we would like to say congratulations to Joni Nicholas, a junior at Lee County High School, for being selected as a member of the 2025 Georgia School Board Association Youth Advisory Council. The GSBA Youth Advisory Council is a dynamic platform that brings together young leaders from various public schools to actively participate in the discourse on educational policies and practices. This council empowers students to voice their perspectives and contribute to decision-making processes, ensuring that youth viewpoints are integral in shaping the educational landscape. Congratulations, Joni.
Two parents. Parents take pictures. You guys good? Congratulations. Thank
Congratulations.
We would also like to say congratulations to the Lee County High School Dairy Cattle Evaluation and Management Career Development Event Team, which competed at FFA Nationals in October and finished as a gold emblem team. They finished in the top 13 in the nation. The team consisted of recent Lee County High School graduates, Olivia Vanderwald and Emma Barkley, as well as current juniors Maggie Hall and Nina Bell. So Maggie and Olivia were individual gold finalists, and Nina Bell was an individual bronze finalist. Congratulations to you and your advisor, Miss Ashley Holden.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Fireworks.
At this time, the board is requested to approve minutes from the following meetings. October 20th, 2025, a regular business meeting, and the November 4th, 2025 college meeting. May I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented? May I have a second? Thank you. Are there any questions or corrections from the board? Being none, I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Next, the board needs to approve the September 2025 financial report. Dr. Truitt, do you have any comments regarding this report?
Madam Chair, members of the board, I make a recommendation that the financial report as submitted be accepted for the month of September 2025.
May I have a motion to approve the September 2025 financial report as presented? May I have a second? Are there any questions concerning the financial report from the board? I have a motion and a second to approve the September 2025 financial report as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. It is necessary for the board to adjourn for an executive session. The board will reconvene at the conclusion of the executive session. May I have a motion to discuss or deliberate upon the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action or dismissal, or periodic evaluation or rating of a public officer or employee, or to interview applicants for the position of superintendent? May I have a second? Are there any questions? It is a motion and seconded to adjourn to executive session. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0, and we're currently adjourned. May I have a motion to reopen? May I have a second? Are there any questions? It's been motioned and seconded to reopen. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0, and the meeting is called back to order. At this time, Dr. Truitt will present our monthly information and reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. First, tonight, we're going to talk about policy JCDAF, use of electronic devices by students. Tonight, you have in your packet a first draft, and it will be on tonight's consent agenda. This policy is being drafted in response to House Bill 340. This policy will be posted on our website for public comment to consider for potential revision. Board members, please review what is proposed and contact me with any questions. SPOS, our SPOS collections for the month of October totaled $467,163.39. Maintenance report, we have corrective work orders, 258 completed out of 211 completed out of 258 issued, and preventative work orders, 202 completed out of 202 issued. We are very pleased to update you on the continued progress of the high school expansion SPOS project. This project has begun site work over the past week. On a side note, this project will serve our students for decades to come. However, it will have an immediate impact to our local economy. Approximately $4 million of this project will come back to Lee County businesses and residents, and so we're excited to announce that this evening. Under the area of student health services, we have a health service update this evening. We have had a total of 3,673 total health visits for the month of October. We have completed our collaboration with the Lee County Health Department and delivered 102 flu shots. We have officially begun flu and cold season and are monitoring for upper respiratory and other indications of more serious concerns. We are incredibly thankful for the Board of Education's commitment to ensuring that we have a licensed medical staff at each school location. If you have been other places, that is rare and unique. This commitment is not standard care in all school districts, however, it's another indicator of Lee County Schools' commitment to excellence. And tonight we have a food service update. In our food service update, we have served over 68,630 lunches this month and 28,423 breakfasts. That is a lot of eggs. This year as a district, our free and reduced lunch percentage ranges from approximately 40% to as high as 61% depending on the school. Our team is preparing for and is in the process of a food service audit, and so we wish them luck and their continued success there. At this time, I would like to invite Dr. David Sims to the podium to share an update on student attendance.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Truitt, as what happens yearly, the state legislature passes certain bills that affect the school system. One of these bills, Senate Bill 1234, addresses chronic absenteeism for the state of Georgia. This bill did two main things. The first was it created a countywide student attendance and climate committee that is led by the Superior Court Chief Judge. This is required of all counties in the state of Georgia. Lee County had their first meeting on October 31st, 2025. One of the main targets of this bill is not only attendance as a whole, but also addressing chronically absent students. The state defines a chronically absent student as a student who misses 10% of the days they are enrolled. So for a full-time enrolled, here all year student, that would be 18 days. If they come in later, it would just be 10% of whatever days they're here. The second main part that SB 123 did was it created two attendance review teams, one at the district level and one at the school level. For any district that has more than 10% chronic absenteeism, they have to have a attendance review team for the district where they would come up with policies and procedures on how to address that. And then it breaks it down even further by school. If a particular school has 15% or more chronically absent students, then that school within itself would have to have an attendance review team. This would be made up of not only school personnel, but district personnel and community members as well to develop a plan and monitor interventions. While Lee County Schools has seen an increase in absenteeism since the COVID-19 pandemic because of the hard work of our teachers, parents, support staff, administrators, and board, we've had policies and procedures in place in our student code of conduct and board policy to help address absenteeism, and as a result, we are in a far better position than most Georgia counties. As you'll see on this slide here, the 2024-2025 school year is the baseline data for this. The state average is in the far right column. You'll see the state average for all schools was 19.5%. Our average as a district was 13%. We only have two schools that were over the 15% threshold. Both of those schools have plans in place or addressing those students as we speak, and they will monitor those throughout the year. Historically speaking, if you look at the state of Georgia and Lee County school system, you can see that when COVID-19 hit, chronic absenteeism went up. It jumped, for the state, 12% in 1 year, it jumped for Lee County about 7%, and then it has increased every year since then until last year. You'll see that we dropped 0.8% as a school system. The state dropped almost 2%, we dropped 0.8%. Not only is Lee County outperforming the state with our chronically absent students, but if you look at our geographic counterparts, we're the lowest amongst school systems that we are surrounded by, and then with close to the same size that we have. So as we go throughout the year, we will continue to monitor not only what Senate Bill 123 requires us to do, but also what our school and district plans have in place. We will continue to go through those and monitor those and look at attendance data as we do every year. And I would be happy to answer any questions.
So why did COVID cause, I mean, what's the theory on why COVID caused an increase in absenteeism?
I think because we were before COVID, we'd say, oh, as long as you're not running a fever, if you have the sniffles or cold, come to school. And when COVID hit, we're like, oh no,
Get out of here.
go home, stay home. And so we were really hesitant, and at the slightest cough or the slightest sniff, we were checking out kids and getting them, to the house. The other thing I think too is that, and you'll see that 2020 year where we were blended and in and out and that kind of thing, we were accepting all kinds of forms of being at school. And so getting back in the swing and the routine of coming to school every day has been a bit of a challenge. And again, hats off to this community, hats off to the board for the policies that we already had in place and enforcing those. Obviously we'd like to be better, but we're in a much better place than many people are. And so I think that's just, this is a community that comes to school, and we're just going to continue to work with those that are still struggling in that area.
Second is this just a monitoring, or are they gonna try and implement some discipline if you miss?
So the discipline in the Senate bill is addressed through the Code of Conduct. So because we already had policies and procedures in place to address chronically absent students, we didn't have to change anything.
Well, I don't know our policy, so I'm asking, but, cause I remember a teacher yelling at me one time because I missed too many days. But I had an A in her class. So how do you do that? Is that in your policy? Is it based on grades or just absence?
So this is both for unexcused and excused absences, is how they define chronically absent students, okay? But each level, and Dr. Truitt might be able to answer this better than me, each level has attendance policies. So for instance, at the high school level, you start to talk about credits, and if you miss so many days, you may not get credit for the class, and then it just varies by the grade band that you're in.
I think there's an appeal process to that as well, and so if there's an extenuating circumstance, and I think it is rare for us to find a student with an A with chronic absenteeism.
Oh, really?
I think that's pretty rare, and so I think for most, does it happen every once in a while? Sure, I'm sure it does. But I think what we're looking at is, how do we work through that? The goal is not to end at that punishment phase. The goal is to have some interventions in place and make sure that kids are coming to school. Eventually, do some of these situations end up with Ms. Lisa Bailey and parents in court? Yes, absolutely, that happens. So, but I think, I will say this, if that has occurred, we have exhausted every opportunity to provide support, intervention, get kids and families what they need. It is literally a last resort.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I would like to invite Mr. Kevin Dowling, Executive Director of School Safety and Student Discipline, to the podium to share an update on safety.
Good evening. Wow, this feels warm. All right, go ahead, Jen. Main thing we're going to talk about tonight, just a couple of quick things. We have two, and we talked about this some last year because, thanks to you, board members, we ended up purchasing both of these programs. And so just gonna talk just for a second on kind of where our progress is. School Dog is our proactive security, kind of a posting database. I have a little bit of a picture up here. I know it's really small, but it kind of gives you an idea, and I'll talk about it for just a second. So this gives administrators and it gives our SROs a chance to, as they're walking to campus or they're walking down the hall or something, and they see a problem, they can post that and they can say, hey, this, in this case, this is, I think, at Middle West, hey, this light's about to fall, or this, you know, this is not right. We need to get this looked at. That goes into a database, and the principal can take a look at that database, and in some cases, if it's an emergency situation, they'll call maintenance right away, get Mr. Rash, and trying to say, hey, we got a serious issue here. But in a lot of cases, it's something kind of minor. You know, like I'm an old high school person, so in high school, one of our biggest things was ROTC would go out and do drills in the bus ramp. Well, a lot of times they you know, jimmy the door open so that they could get in and out real easy, right? So we'd walk by and be like, the door open again, you know. And so that was something that, you know, if you went by, say, you know, 10 times a week and 4 times, that door was left unlocked or jarred open or however you put it, then you could have that kind of accrued, and the principal would see that Friday, we had that thing was found open or ajar 5 times this week. And that's something now we can address that. So, but it's a proactive program that builds a database that helps us in safety as far as looking at what's going on campus, so that we can help keep students safe. You know, that's the idea behind it. Be proactive so that things don't pile up to a certain thing. We've already got over 1,000 entries on it. We've been live since September 23rd. And again, administrators and SROs are leading the way on that. And just like anything, and they'll tell you, I mean, just like anything, it's an adjustment. Something new that we're putting in. It's a little bit of an adjustment to learn how to use that program. We did have a good training session with the guys that run the program. But so far so good on that. I think it's a great start, and it's a good addition to it. So thank you once again for agreeing to purchase that. Okay. The next one is the biggie. This is the reactive one. Centegix, and that's the big one. That's the one that Centegix is, and they are happy to tell you they're in 85% of the schools in Georgia. Of course, Centegix is a Georgia-based company, so, you know, but they're spreading around the country too. This is the one that's reactive. This is the one that has a little badge around your neck that you push the button a certain amount of times, and it'll either call for help because maybe there's a fight or medical emergency or something, or God forbid if there's something very serious, an intruder, somebody with a weapon or something, press the button more times and it will lock down the school. So this is the one, and we've been meeting with them, Blair Johnson and I and Leslie Reese have been meeting with them virtually, of course, every Thursday since the beginning of September. We've done a lot of front-end loading, pretty much. Blair's been doing a lot, I don't know if Blair's here tonight or not, but Blair's been doing a lot of front-end loading as far as making sure that the software our technology is ready for their technology to integrate, no problem. They're starting tomorrow with their installation in schools. This installation will take place after school every day, not going to interact with students, and they've got principal cell phone numbers. Principals are so happy to share that. But they've got principal cell phone numbers in case they need something, when they're installing. The idea is to start tomorrow, finish on November 21st. Then they'll make sure everything's working right. We'll do a little training with those that are going to be responders, and then planning to go live at the start of next semester. And then we are planning, we just talked about this, but we're planning also, if everything works well, we'll have a demonstration of it at our safety summit in January. I think that's a really good idea. Dr. Truitt actually brought that. That was a good idea, I think, and that'll be a really good way for people to see, hey, this is how this works. So really, really glad to have this. This is something that, it's reactive. So if something bad happens, it will get help on the way. This also ties to 911. So, if you're locking down the school, it will blare out the 911. So, I think it's a great program. And once again, thank you very much for allowing us to get it. So.
Any questions?
This system, you say it locks down the schools. All our locks on our doors are automatic now, that we can push a button.
No, when he says it locks down the school, it makes an announcement, it flashes a light and lets everyone know to go into that mode. So the all doors should be locked, interior, exterior. So if a child is in transition from hallway, it would mean if you go into full lockdown mode, kids that are in the hallway, they will be pulling them into whatever classroom that they are closest to, and then they lock down and stay within. And then there's multiple, we have different levels of that. So you can have what we would call soft lockdown, which means no entering and exiting the building, but we can move within the building as normal. So that will do it through that badge system if necessary.
What that does, it saves so much time. I mean, if there's something really bad happening, a lot of times it takes radio, get to the office, hit the intercom, and somebody speak. This is it just happened, we're locking down there. And so it saves, you know, when you have a situation like this, again, God forbid, seconds count, and this saves minutes, not just seconds. So.
Not to sound clueless, but we lock the doors from the outside. We still have crash hardware that you can open and get out.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And do we have the ability to find out if indoor is open somewhere? That an outside door, an exterior door is open somewhere, so we don't know about
I
it, we
would
go in
prefer to
shutdown
answer
mode, do
those.
we?
Trey, I can answer that question after the meeting. Absolutely. Okay, at this time, I would like to invite Mr. Gary Kelly, Executive Director of Finance, to the podium to share an update on the budget.
Good evening. Let's go back through our priorities again. The main thing in this budget was recruitment and retention of employees and the health insurance increase. Our increase in our budget was from these two things. And I've had talks with people throughout the last week about this, and we increased our local cost by, our local revenue by 15%. So if people's property taxes went up, their assessed value was more than 15%, that's the valuation, that's not us. I don't know how else to say it, but we did increase by 15% to pay for the recruitment and retention of employees and health insurance costs. So let's move to the next slide. Our current funding sources is 58% the state, 35% local, and 6% federal. 83% of these monies goes for compensation and benefits of employees. And one thing I want to pull out of the compensation and benefits for employees is $14 million of that is for health insurance costs. I've said before it's $22,000 per employee. There's over 600 employees that meet this qualification for having health insurance. So my wife told me one time, she listened to the last, and she said, $22,000 don't mean a lot to people. She said, can you quantify that? And I said, sure. So, I mean, 14 million of the whole, and you'll see on the next page. Go ahead, Jennifer. Our operating budget is $91 million. That's, I know it's 109 is what you approved, but the capital outlay and the debt service are not operations. So the true operation portion of the budget is $91 million. The 83% of that is $76 million. So $15 million is true operation. So health insurance is almost as much as our operations of our entire school district. Of that 15 million, 1.4 million is for electricity, and almost $500,000 is for SROs. And I've listed what all the other things for are. You know, we bought buses, fuel for buses, we repair buses, we repair HVAC equipment. I mean, air conditioners going out cost a lot of money. So I mean, all that adds up to $15 million. So if we were wanting to make a budget cut in this, you might could make a $100,000 budget cut somewhere in there and pick at that $15 million. But if you really are going to make a budget cut, you're going to have to hit the 83% of the budget, which is salaries and benefits, because one teaching position with salaries and benefits has got you $100,000. The next slide, Jennifer. But we have made a commitment in Lee County to the class sizes, and we're keeping class sizes at a certain level. So if people are asking us to be more efficient with the money, that's the only place we can go, is by increasing class sizes or reducing the school year. We did that when the state, back in 2008, we had with furloughs. We were furloughing money because the state was not bringing in the money it needed. That's where every school district went. When the state's money's not coming in, is personnel. I mean, that's the only way to get to it. So the next is something that we had went over last year when we were doing the budget and back in the budget process. But this is the cost of to educate a child per student from 21 to 23. And if you let's just look at the middle, first column was local cost. So our 3-year average was $3,000 a year for those 3 years. So Jennifer, let's go to the next slide. A student is with us for 14 years. That's pre-K through 12th grade. So to educate a child for that whole time period that he's with us is $47,000, using the average for the last 3 years. Now, if I use this year and last year, it's probably over 4,000, but for simplicity's sake, take them down. So now let's go. Go ahead.
It's $3,300 a year to educate a kid, our cost.
Local
Local
cost, not
That's
total
local.
cost, that's out of the
Oh, you're just
local
keeping everything
funds.
local.
Yeah, go back to
Yeah.
the slide, Jennifer.
We're
So-
looking at 15,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
It's
you look at the
local
last
cost.
column,
I got you.
now we're at 15. Those numbers have increased significantly over the last 2 years because of the health insurance. So go back, 47,000. Now we're going to the next page. We looked on Google what the average home price in Lee County was. It was $226.9. So if you take 40% of that assessed value, that person would pay $90.76 per meal, and we levy 15.96 meals. So they would be paying in $1,448 a year for taxes. So if you take that $47,000 and divide it by what one person's paying on average, it would take them 32 years to pay for it for one child. If they got 2 children, it'd be 64 years and 97. So I mean,
Well, I think it's a great bargain.
yeah.
I mean, I get to send my child to school for 14 years, and it's gonna take me 32 years to finance it. That's if I stay in that one home
Right.
for 13. That's in 2 kids, which I did, 65 years. But when we get 60, we shouldn't have to pay for it.
So it's one of those things that we've talked about this before, but the way that we fund schools is not designed, as you can see, it would be impossible to do it as a tuition basis. But the idea is when a whole community is successful, when the schools are successful, a whole community is successful. But if you really, I think the idea is, if I don't have children in school right now, but if, poor Claire with 3 children is like, oh my gosh, they're gonna have to live forever to hit that. So I think it was good for us to look at what we did is why we use the local, is that is the impact out of the local tax digest and which is applied to the education of students. Does that make sense? Okay, and so there was a request to do that.
And that, through my presentation, if I had any questions.
One.
Okay.
So, it's a long one. So, how many eggs did you say at the end we cooked this year?
Well, it was 28, that was just this month. That was
Okay.
28,000 breakfasts.
So it was a bunch of eggs.
Yeah.
And what they're on the news, like eggs like tripled in price this past year.
And that $15 million
500% increase.
So even if we stop serving eggs, if I'm reading your thing right, it ain't really gonna put it in the budget. Very, very little. But if we start firing teachers, we can let some money come in, right? But then what happens to your quality of education?
We still have to meet the requirements for what meal we provide for those students.
My point is that the only way to really cut the budget, everybody thinks there's so much fat to cut out there, is to decrease the amount of teachers you have in this system. That's truly the only way. You just said it to make a dent. Our one teacher's $100,000
A little
versus.
bit more than that.
Well, okay.
My
My point is if we start firing teachers to cut the fat, the quality of education is gonna go down significantly, and then nobody's gonna wanna move to Lee County. That's the point I'm trying to make. And so there's no fat, or if you can find it, anybody in this meeting can find the fat that y'all think we can cut, because I've read a lot of budget experts in the past month, so many experts that I don't even know what to believe in, but I believe what you tell me. But I just wanted y'all to understand that that's, in my opinion, what's gonna happen if you wanna cut something, your quality education should be cut.
Why do you wanna move into Lee County?
Because it's,
But I do think, and we have been, and I wanna continue to work on a plan or some sort that we can reduce the senior tax. I mean,
I think
I'm gonna keep
we're-
pushing that, keep pushing that.
No,
keep
no, no,
pushing
no,
that.
I think what we're doing is now that we have a good idea of what this year's digest looks like after appeals, I think as I have done in the past, I will bring you all, I'm hoping to by, the December board meeting, if not at January at the latest, multiple different options to look at as potential to, and I think I've heard most of you have voiced concern at really looking at the most financially impaired seniors and what that could look like. And then what are some options for us in Lee County, but also a way in which we don't have to significantly raise the millage rate, which would then mean higher taxes. What I don't wanna do is have a senior who has land and a homestead, and we reduce the tax for the homestead, but then we raise the millage rate because we have to make a budget and pay teachers, and then that increases, they end up saving $1,000 here to pay $3,000 more here. That would not make sense. So we're trying to make sure that we're looking at all property owners and not just, homes. And so we will definitely, Mr. Kelly and I will work together and bring some solutions for y'all to consider in the next month or two.
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Terry.
Concludes our updates for this evening.
Thank you. The board will now consider our monthly business items. In the first business item, the board has been asked to approve the current personnel consent agenda. Dr. Truitt, do you have any comments?
Madam Chair and members of the board, I recommend that the personnel agenda, consent agenda be, as recommended, is approved as presented. Sorry, I got tongue tied on that.
May I have a motion to approve the current personnel consent agenda as presented? Thank you. May I have a second? Are there any questions or comments from the board? Okay. Being none, I have a motion and a second to approve the current personnel consent agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. In the second business item, the board is asked to approve the current consent agenda. Dr. Truitt, do you have any comments?
Madam Chair, members of the board, you have been presented with a consent agenda containing out-of-state or overnight trips, facility use, a website flyer, and a draft policy of GCDAF, use of electronic devices by students. I recommend that the consent agenda be approved as presented.
May I have a motion to approve the current consent agenda as presented? May I have a second? Are there any questions or comments from the board regarding the consent agenda?
Just on this electronic device, that policy, we're working on that now. What you sent us and what I went through today is not in concrete, we're still.
Draft, right, so if you have input or insight, please let me know that and we'll consider that as we make adjustments and revisions.
And it's included all electronic, it's not just mobile phones.
Correct, yes.
Any more questions? I have a motion and a second to approve the current consent agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. That concludes our business items. We'll now move to our public participation portion, and this is the time that the board sets aside during each regular business meeting for members of the school district to address the board on related issues of concern in accordance with published policy and procedures of the Lee County Schools. The board received one request to speak at this evening's meeting, and as a reminder, presentations should be limited to 5 minutes or less. A clock is provided for the convenience of each speaker. We ask that the remarks be respectful and civil. Remarks must be addressed to the board as a whole. Please understand that the board will consider remarks or future decisions, but no action will be taken in the current meeting. And at this time, we invite Mrs. Elizabeth Palmer to the podium.
y'all could hear me. I have Parkinson, and it's a little soft, so I'll try. I wanted you to come and tell you tonight. My name is Elizabeth Palmer. I'm at 129 Jackson Drive, Leesburg, Georgia. My husband and I bought a house in Lee County in the early 1970s. So we've lived here a while. Our children have gone through school, our grandchildren and now great-grandchildren, and we appreciate Lee County. And that's why we moved to Lee County when we came up north from Grady County, because we heard the schools were so good. I know y'all have been thinking about relief for senior citizens, and I appreciate that. I just wanted to let you know my perspective as an 83-year-old widow. I understand doing a little research that this board has the authority to grant some relief to seniors, and we appreciate that. When we bought our house, it was $32,000. Now it's priced at 200 and something by this board. We're grateful for that. But on the other hand, I'm a widow. My husband died last year in February. My income has dropped by 2/3. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for my Social Security. But my monthly Social Security is a little over $2,000. My tax bill this year is over $2,000. So I'm not asking for sympathy, I'm just asking for help. We pay taxes over 50 years, and I think maybe at 80. I don't know what age y'all want to start at or do it, gradually on scales. I understand about 8 counties in northern Georgia have exempted people from paying taxes at all, beginning at 62 or 70 or 80, with some income limitations. So I know y'all been working on that, I appreciate it. But I wanted to take the opportunity to thank you for what you do, and I'll be praying for you that God will give you the wisdom and the courage to do what you need to do.
Thank you for taking the time to speak with us, and we'll take your concerns under advisement.
Thank you very much.